Check.
I ain't in your way, am I?
I'm doing a live stream, man. Appreciate you.
I'm gonna get out your way.
Waiting
right. How about yourself, brother?
Good afternoon, family. I need to hear y'all. Good afternoon, family. I want to say thank you for everybody being here today to celebrate the life of Coach George Lancaster Jr. Now, Coach has some specific instructions. This is not a funeral. I'm going to preface this. This is not a funeral. We're going to laugh. We're going to smile, and we're going to enjoy the memory of Coach. Coach lived. And when I say Coach lived to the fullest. He was an amazing man to so many of us. I want to first thank his family for sharing Coach with so many of us. So many of us. His life, his legacy will continue to live on through each and every one of us and through the next generation. And with that being said, I would like everybody to please stand and give an amazing round of applause as the Lancaster family enters the gym. to the family, for you guys to see, I want to say again, thank you for one, sharing such an amazing human being with so many, not just the Highland Springs community, not just in Rickham County, but the entire state of Virginia. He was Coach Lancaster to us. He was dad, a brother, he was a cousin, an uncle. He was a friend to so many of you. We want you to know that on this day, we salute you for allowing such an amazing human being to be a part of all of our lives. Thank you. Everybody may be seated. Okay, so I am the master of ceremonies for this event. My name is Harry Daniel III. So yes, Trey, we do stand at the secret. I am the third. I was a member of the 2007 state championship team. Coach Lancaster was a father figure to myself as he was to so many. So I'm lucky to be up here. I'm making sure I do this right so Coach doesn't fuss at me later. But we're gonna break the ceremony up into quarters. So for the guys who played for Coach Lancaster, we get in the huddle, 2-2-1, 2-2-3. Y'all know. All together, let's go on 3. So 1, 2, 3. I need it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're gonna have a reading of his favorite scripture, and then I need Miss Lancaster Pettis, poem for my brother. I need first cousin, Mr. Victor Williams, his West End High School friends, Mr. Charles Preston and Mr. Lawrence Barnes. A member of the Virginia State faculty, Mr. Doris Washington, to come up to the front as we get started. Coach Lancaster's favorite scripture was Micah 6:8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. I think we all can say Coach Lancaster lived that scripture in the way he touched people and the way he honored people. So I need Miss Kathleen Lancaster Pettis to the podium, followed by Mr. Victor Williams, Mr. Charles Preston, Mr. Lawrence Barnes, and Miss Doris Washington.
Thank you, all of you, for being here today to celebrate his birthday. The life of my brother. Thank you for celebrating the life of my brother. I wrote a prose poem for my brother on his birthday some years ago, still Coach Springs, and I tried to capture a chunk of his life, one word. And I was asked to share it with you today. It's called Brother's Birthday. Your birthday, brother, brings sweet memories. Blessed to have so many Georges in our life. Grandfather George Clemens, Father George Sr., George Jr., lovingly called Baby George by our family. But you are always my big brother. With you, I share the joy of growing up in our little house on Washington Street, playing in the yard, growing grass, all hedges around the perimeter, perfect for croquet, hide and seek, and adventuresome reenactment. Fighting with your imaginary friend Cuckoo and winning. Fending off a real-life aggressive playmate and losing. Walking over to the neighborhood store in August, buying a cone of homemade ice cream. Frantically licking rich streams of custard. Celebrating Labor Day in September, running through cold water from a garden hose, screaming a shrill farewell. Oh my. There were so many oh my moments. Standing in front of the Pierce building, listening to sirens from the firehouse, wondering where the fire was, and then seeing smoke puffing out of the windows of our own house. Oh my. Together discovering our home was on fire. Waking up to snow on Christmas, unexpected, it seemed like magic. Oh my. Rounding the corner to 5th Street, little late, heading to Bethlehem back. Mom dressed in her gray duster, we striving behind, not quite keeping up. Jovially greeting our dog Spooky after summer's absence, realizing he had come for a visit. My, tearfully we said goodbye, an era ended. In adolescence, celebrating your 16th birthday, spending 45s on the record player dancing, feeling grown up, rooting for you in high school games, all 3 sports. You were quarterback, point guard, kicker, agile, smart, accurate. You were meant to be a playmaker. Feeling sick as I inspected your sports injury, and straining against the stitches on your lip, knowing pain, but still lots of happiness, not realizing that childhood is brief. In our adult years, tracking your teams during basketball season, transcending miles through technology to feel the thrill of your victory, to hear your voice on the phone, joyful, together, remembering Mom as if she were there, she awaiting your return at the end of the day, you sweaty and dusty from some athletic pursuit. She would still be worried, but oh, would she be proud. Mom would be proud of you today, dear George. Thank you for being my brother.
Thank you, Kid. Charles Preston and Lawrence Barnes, we're representing his Wickliffe High School student friends, classmates, as well as New State. And what we discussed as to what other tributes we could give to George, because everyone else has done it. And we realized that our confusion came in it because it was named for George Baskerville Lancaster Jr. We just knew him as George. And when we were in conversation with each other, whether on the golf course or playing basketball, we called him Lancaster. And seeing all of you here in his memory and celebration shows that George was a people person. I think most of you know that. And George was the type of person that when he entered a room, it lit up with him talking and talking. said, President and I always, when we would get into our discussions with George, we call him George and Lancaster. Because first of all, we say, what you talking about, George? And then we finish calling him Lancaster. And if you know George like we do, he sort of, at times, would get under your skin. And he was under your skin because he saw something there. And he was going to give his opinion, whether you wanted it or not. And these are difficult times, but we know that George is leaving us all something, especially for the young students coming through Highland Springs or anywhere now. Put down your phones and find a friend like George. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Williams. I'm one of Coach Lancaster's first cousin. First, I'd like to thank everybody for the outpouring of love you have shown the Coach Lancaster family since his passing. Deeply appreciate it. Our mothers, Isabel and Eliza, were sisters. I'm the youngest cousin on my mother's side of the family, with the oldest cousin recently celebrating her 100th birthday on July 6th of this year. If you knew Coach, who I call George, he often reminded me over the years that I was the youngest cousin. He was also the informal family spokesperson. He knew most of our birthdays. He would keep us abreast by way of phone calls, emails, text messages regarding family events and the welfare of many family members. He was simply invaluable to our family. Growing up as the only child in Mecklenburg County, I looked up to my cousin. He would often share stories of family members and other individuals who had made an impact on his life, and especially in sports. My first cousin was very athletic. He was tough. He also had a great sense of humor. He would give many of his students and athletes nicknames. Many are still being called by these nicknames today. In the heat of competition, you've never known he had a sense of humor. He would always say things to encourage me during my basketball career, more importantly, through my work career throughout life. I played for Coach Lancaster at Bluestone Junior High School, now Mecklenburg County Middle School, located in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. Looking back, this was an interesting and very rewarding time for me. Over the years, I've seen Coach Lancaster in action countless times at Highland Spring High School. My wife and I attended both Highland Spring boys and basketball state championship games. I've seen his coaching intensely, coaching theatrics as a spectator. I know firsthand how his players felt being under his guidance. I remember when my cousin coached me in our 9th grade team, went undefeated that year. He pushed us every day in practice. He would blow his whistle and shout at us whenever we messed up. He would also praise us whenever we did something well. He made no exceptions for me being his cousin. When it was game day, he was all business. After he shook the opposing coaches and game official hands, he went into his Coach Lancaster game time zone. He displayed a level of intensity from the opening tip-off until the end of the game buzzer. He always had game strategies. He communicated clearly what his expectations were for each player and his team. If you knew Coach Lancaster and his team, we were also a well-disciplined team. During one of our final games that year, we were playing Parkview at home. Parkview was our rival county high school. Gym was packed, it was warm inside. I, along with the guys on the team, knew this was a big game. The game made it close for the first 2 quarters. When we went into the locker room at halftime with our heads down, Coach began to elevate his voice, which immediately got our attention. He pulled out his dry eraser board, re-emphasized some plays that we were not executing correctly. During the second half, I wasn't giving 100%, not playing up to my coach nor my teammates' expectations. Coach had already yelled at me during the previous timeout. It was during an early fourth-quarter play that I had failed a box out and rebound, and I was running down the floor, passing the team's bench. I clearly remember my cousin standing up on the sideline on the floor as I ran by. He shouted some choice words that were directly at only me that I had not heard him say during any other previous game. My reaction to response to what he said was to immediately find additional mental and physical endurance that I didn't know that I had in me. His voice inspired me to run faster, box out, and jump higher for the remainder of the game. We won the game. In only Coach Lancaster fashion while in the locker room, he told everyone, "Good job tonight." When he finished addressing the team, he walked by and patted me on the shoulder while walking through the locker room. My cousin brought that same level of coaching intensity from McRae County to the Richmond area. I remember when he told me he was going to take a job at Holland Spring High School. Only thing that I knew about Holland Spring was that the school had decent football teams and the airport was nearby. When I fast forward and look at his time at Holland Spring, Coach Lancaster transformed the school's basketball program. He was all in when he came to Holland Spring. I attended some of the girls' games while he was coaching, but I attended most of the boys' games. He loved coaching basketball, and he had an extremely high IQ in coaching strategies and motivating players. I'm retired now after working at the Richmond National Airport for over 38 years. Over the years, I would often step away from work and drive over to Holland Spring High School during the beginning of boys' basketball season. There were many times I would sit next to my cousin in the bleachers as the boys were scrimmaging in anticipation of making the final cut. I would often hear him say things to assistant coaches like, "I like that kid. That kid can't shoot well, but he hustles and he had plays good defense. I like the little short guy. He's a good ball handler, he's quick. You see that kid right there? I'm going to cut him. Because he doesn't have a good head on his shoulder, and I watch him right in school acting up." What I know today is I witnessed an exceptional team builder and a future Hall of Fame basketball coach. Coach Lancaster was a basketball genius who strived in building a team and getting the most out of his players. He knew what each player brought to the team, and more importantly, he knew how to win. On another occasion, I recall visiting him at the gym prior to one of his state championship seasons. I would always ask him how he thought his team would do during the upcoming season. On this day, he said, "These boys are very talented. They have experience. They all respect me. If I were to tell all of them to get on the top row of the bleachers, jump head first, I believe they all would do it for me." When I heard my cousin say those words, it just reminded me of the respect and discipline that he always had with each of his team. If you had previously attended a Holland Spring boys basketball game, either at home or away, you would have witnessed a well-coached, well-disciplined team. My cousin had a positive influence on our family, and we loved him. If you called him, if he was able, he would always lend a helping hand. He always had a great conversation with you and would often share positive things about you, made you feel good about yourself. If you were down, he would say the right things to lift you up. He had a big heart. He shared a story with me about a young girl on his basketball team. After he had returned home to McRae County, he was actually coaching. He said he watched a young girl run in practice. She kept sliding. When practice was over, he asked her to walk over to the sideline and lift up one of her shoes. He said they had very little rubber on the soles. The next afternoon, at the beginning of practice, he saw this little girl and handed her a box. She looked inside, there was a new pair of sneakers And immediately she said, her mother can't afford to pay him back. My cousin said, give her a gift. We'll put them on, get back out there and warm up. He said the little girl had tears in her eyes. That was my cousin. Coach Lancaster was an outstanding coach, mentor, and leader. He could be very amusing to watch on the sideline, especially when speaking to some of the game officials. He was a mentor to several coaches, players, students, and individuals who got to know him well. He was a father figure, a friend to countless individuals before and after the game in Highland Springs. He was often seen as being very intense during his games, then a very humble and enjoyable individual following the game, if the spring was going. I know I'm just echoing many of the memories you already had with my cousin. He had a very competitive game time spirit and equal caring spirit for everyone on his team. I'd like to leave with this quote that describes my cousin. True greatness, true leadership is found in giving yourself in service to others, not in coercing or inducing others to serve you. If you ask my cousin how he's doing, he'll simply say, better than I deserve. Coach Lancaster loved Highland Springs High School, and it's obvious to me that Highland Springs love him more. Thank you.
My name is Doris Washington. Graduated in 1960. Lancaster, Texas. And I have been invited to written life from the president of September 25th, 2020. Family and friends of Virginia State University alumnus, Coach George E. Lancaster, Jr. On behalf of the Virginia State University family, I extend our deepest condolences on the passing of George E. Lancaster, Jr. We honor his remarkable life and lasting legacy as an educator, coach, mentor, and community leader. Coach Lancaster's journey began here at Virginia State University, where he excelled as a student athlete and earned distinction on the basketball court. His time at VSU laid the foundation for a career that would inspire generations. Through his decades of service at Highland Springs High School, Huguenot High School, and beyond, he not only accumulated championships and honors, but also shaped the lives of countless young people. His guidance, discipline, and compassion built character in his players and instilled values that reached far beyond the game of basketball. We at Virginia State University are especially proud among our distinguished alumni. His induction into the Virginia State University Hall of Fame and the Virginia High School League Hall of Fame stand as testaments to his enduring influence on athletics and education in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The court that bears his name is a fitting tribute to his vision, perseverance, and devotion to student success. Know that our thoughts and prayers are with you during this difficult time. While we mourn his passing, we also life so well lived that leaves behind a legacy of excellent leadership and love. May you find in the knowledge that Coach Lancaster's impact will be remembered for generations to come. With deepest sympathy, Dr. Makola M. Abdullah, President, Virginia State University. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up the first quarter with a little story. So, I had the distinction of playing from 2004 to 2008. So, Coach Timmons was one of our assistant coaches. I see Coach King, I see Coach Williams. But I was fortunate because I had to play with a group of guys who were a year older. So the starting point guard was J3, and the backup point guard was myself. Starting shooting guard was Brandon Roselle, and I just was fortunate enough to be the backup shooting guard as well. So I got to back up Jay and Brandon. Great times, lovely. My first game, my sophomore year, we were playing against James River in a Rebel Invitation. And if anybody's ever played for Coach, he had a rule. If you get in the game, the first thing you do not do is shoot a three. Absolute first rule, do not shoot a three. I'm excited, my first game, the horn goes off, I run in, go into the game. I believe Brandon and Jay looked at me and saw the excitement on my face. And they immediately looked at me and said, "Dawg, don't shoot this. We the first time you touch it." I'm like, yeah, we good. We go down, get a stop, we run the transition. We run the secondary. Everybody knows Coach, we run the secondary. I'm the trail guy, I catch it, and shoot a three. And as soon as the ball left my hand, I looked to my left, and Coach was already getting somebody else to come on into the game. When I got to the sideline, he looked at me, he said, "Hurt, what's the first thing I told you? What do you not do when you go into the game?" I said, "Shoot a three." He said, "I want you to think about that three you shot. Right next to Bill. Go ahead, sit down." All right, so we're going to get into the second quarter of our ceremony. Now, I need members from the Armstrong Kennedy Alumni Association. I need members of the Central Virginia Basketball Officials Association to come to the front. I need school board of Richmond Public Schools, who was my elementary school principal, Miss Cheryl L. Burke. I need Mr. Gregory Parr, one of my favorite people in the world, Coach Rudy Ward. And then we'll have the Lady Springers, Ms. Valerie Waters and Gilda Bates. They will come to speak. And our second quarter will wrap with the Honorable Reverend Tyrone Nelson giving remarks from the school board. So, to start off, I need the members of the Armstrong Kennedy Alumni Association. I need the Central Virginia Officials Association. I need Coach Stokes. He is Coach Stokes to us. And I need Mr. Gregory Parr. Once we finish with Mr. Parr, I will call up the next set of speakers that will include Coach Ward, Ms. Walters, Ms. Bates, and we will finish the second quarter with the Honorable Tyrone Nelson.
gratitude and appreciation, the CVBOA membership proudly presents this token of appreciation in honor of George Lloyd Lancaster Jr. In recognition of his unwavering support of our mission, we now commit to honoring his vision to uplift, empower youth through education and sports. His legacy inspires us to continue making a meaningful difference in the lives of young people. Thank you, George, for your dedication, leadership, and lasting impact.
Good afternoon, everyone. I bring you greetings from Richmond Public Schools. As a principal, is asked to work, okay? My name is Burke. This letter that I've written is written on behalf of those of us in the city of Richmond, because I want the record to show that Coach Lancaster started in the city of Richmond, in Richmond Public Schools. Let the record show, all right? It's where you begin, in the city of Richmond and beyond. Dear family of Mr. George Lancaster Sr., my deepest sympathies are with you as you mourn the loss of your father, Mr. George Baskerville Lancaster Sr. I am grateful that Richmond Public Schools is fortunate to be counted as one of Mr. Lancaster's early professional homes, as he would become a well-regarded figure in greater Richmond High School sports history. His legacy of inspiring scholar athletes continues with his daughter, Miss Kara Lancaster Gay, an assistant principal with Richmond Public Schools Armstrong High School. And I must add this, whenever I saw her father, he would always thank me. Like she did what she did on her own, but he would always say, Cheryl, I appreciate you. He would always leave nuggets of kindness and love. Always. So proud of his family. While known for his storied career within Henrico County Public Schools, one of Mr. Lancaster's first teaching opportunities in the Richmond area came at Huguenot High School. From 1972 to 1979, Coach Lancaster shared his love of the game as a physical education teacher and as a coach with the track and field, as well as with the girls and boys basketball team, among several others. When I asked those persons who were at at Huguenot, I was told that his middle name was changed to George Baskerville, not George Baskerville, George Basketball Lancaster, because for the game back then. Over 5 decades later, Coach Lancaster is fondly remembered by many former RPS scholars and athletes who credit him as a part of their success on and off the court. Please know that Mr. Lancaster's influence will be remembered well beyond the record books. Can't take our history from us. His legacy as a family man, coach, and a friend will endure through all of you, each of us here this afternoon, as well as the countless lives he touched through his passion for athletics and people across the Commonwealth. And I must say, he and my husband were roommates at Virginia State, so I've heard the name and I know all the jokes way back then, all right? And he was an awesome man. Kara, thank you. Thank you. We love you in RPS. We love you beyond. Please know it always, your father's legacy will be before us. We thank you. May God bless and keep you each day moving forward. Respectfully submitted, Harold L. Burke, 7th District School Board.
So, our next speaker will be Mr. Ricky Stokes.
Thank you very much. You can tell I heard his age when he said Coach talked about 3 corners. So we played it was a 2-corner. But it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak today on Coach's behalf. I was thinking about Coach, and I've known Coach for about 50 years. And 2 things that I know to be true about Coach Lancaster. One, he always called you on your birthday. So I'm not too sure he should have made you toward math. He always called you on your birthday, wife's birthday, your daughter's birthday, and his birthday is April 4th. I always remember that. And the other thing about Coach that I know to be true, he loves zodiac signs. Loves zodiac signs. So, well, what sign are you? Coach, I'm Aries. He said, that's what I am. You look up at Aries and see what it says about Coach. And Coach fits this Aries profile. Personality traits of an Aries is energetic, courageous, optimistic, natural-born leader who envies competition. Sounds like Coach to me. His strengths of an Aries is fearless, strong, possesses an unmatched drive to achieve goals. Sounds like Coach. Well, I'm one of 2 guys that knows the inner city Coach Lancaster from Huguenot High School, the suburban Coach Lancaster from Highland Springs. I met Coach Lancaster when I was a freshman at Huguenot in 1977. I walked into Huguenot High School. It's kind of a dungeon, kind of dark, down underneath, but a great place to play. I walk in the gym, and this 32-year-old man, sweating, just raining threes from everywhere, talking major smack. Get some of this, yeah, you can't guard me. And I said, who is this guy? He said, oh, that's the varsity coach, Coach Lancaster. And I proceeded to say, man, I hope I can play for him one day. Because he possessed everything a young man could want it to be. He was tough. He was demanding, pushing, he was encouraging. He would cuss you out. He was laughing. He was loving. And you know what? At the end of the day, you knew you could always call him. So many life lessons. I'll tell you a funny story. You knew you had, I won't say made it, but you knew Coach liked you. He had a van, a Volkswagen van, and he would come pick you up and play Summer League. Boy, what a great feeling when Coach picked you up to play Summer League. Because during the year, he had tryouts when we were at Huguenot. There might be 100 or 200 people doing drills and layups. But you knew if you were in the van, you had a good shot. Now, Coach, I don't think you could do these days. He would have like some Band-Aids. He would be at the bottom handing Band-Aids at people. Oh, you're going to cut. You can't. Keep going up the drill. And he would be laughing, and only Coach Lancaster could do that. You're cut. Can you imagine today telling you're cut? You're going to call from your parents, but only Coach could do that. One of the biggest thrills at a young age would be going after tryout to Coach Lancaster's office, seeing your name on the list that you made the team. You wanted to be on his team. Coach had a saying, and we were tough. We played full court at Huguenot and Highland Springs, but he always said, if you play your mama, you got to beat your mama. I said, Coach, what? If you play your mama, you got to beat your mama. And he wasn't talking about 1 or 2 points. You gotta beat your mama. You gotta beat it as much as you can. Well, in 1979, Richmond City schools consolidated. And 3 schools formed 1 school, Jefferson Huguenot with. And so all the coaches from Jefferson Huguenot with were applying to, it was my last year in high school, so they were applying to be the coach. It was very uneasy for me because I wanted coach to get the job. We all wanted coach to get the job. They called my mom and dad and said, hey, I want to come by your house. Okay. So he comes by the house, sitting down, plastic on his surname, I'm dating myself, plastic on the furniture. And he says, they have good news and bad news. Okay, he said, what do you want, the good news or the bad news? I want the good news, coach. He said, I got a job. I said, great, I'm great, you got a job. He said, you want to know the bad news? I said, yeah, what's the bad news? I didn't get the complex job. I got the job at Highland Springs High School. Now, were you clapping? I had cut my teeth at Huguenot High School. I was a Falcon. I had all my friends, all my teachers, everybody was at Huguenot. And Coach said, do you want to come? I said, Coach, wherever you go, that's where I'm going to go. And I didn't know where Highland Springs was. I'd never been here, but Reggie said we did play here one time, so we got beat, right, Reggie? Didn't have any friends here, didn't know any teachers here, but I knew Coach. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I needed to know Coach, and it's one of the best decisions I ever made. Fast forward, I got a chance to play at Virginia thanks to Coach. It's my last story. Eric gave us a read us a ride act. And I was fortunate to play there, and I was a freshman. I had never seen so many big white guards in my life. Lee Raker, 6'6". We had this drill that, and Jeff Lamp, 6'6", Lee Raker, Jeff Jones, and we had this drill, you deny on the wing, and then they'll post up, and you had to guard one-on-one. Well, I was 5'9", and they would take me to the woodshed every single day. Every single day. And I got a little worried after about a week. Maybe I should go somewhere else. And only Coach could say, oh man. He said, I'll tell you what. To work hard, she's always said, work hard. Be patient. And when you wait, opportunity will come. When your opportunity comes, you have to be ready. So, when he said that, he had such a comforting way about it. It's kind of like the sky got blue, handcuff came off. I said, okay, I always listen to Coach. Coach knows best. And the rest of the season, I ended up leaving playing the record under 34 games, but I owe it all to Coach because if it wasn't for Coach, I probably wouldn't have stayed. And there hasn't been a decision that I haven't called Coach. Forever grateful. You know, I think I heard Reggie say this. One time I was coming out of the gym, and I used to eat lunch with Coach every day. But we were walking out, and I was somewhere, and somebody said, is that your boy? He said, yeah, that's my son. If the button had popped off my chest, it would have been okay. Because I was his son. And we all were sons. Matter of fact, my teammates are here. We were arguing in the back, who was his favorite? But I think everybody in this gym would say they were his favorite. Because Coach had that knack of making everyone feel that they were his favorite. I got to speak to him in his hospital. Said, Coach, whenever he hung up, before we hung up, he said, I love you. I always said, I love you more, Coach. Thank you for your time. I love you more, Coach, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
So before we get to Mr. Gregory Pearl, we have a video tribute done by Mr. Chip Tarkenton. He's the former sports director of WRIC-TV. Now, everybody may not have been to the new Holland Springs, so I want to say welcome, welcome. Our new school has many cool amenities, great amenities. One of them is we have a projection screen. The problem with that projection screen is, for us to project, it would be back here. So, we're going to have the video on the Promethean panels. We'll get them up on the Promethean panels. We're going to have one this one, just one. But after the event, I will do my best to make sure we share the video via social media so people can see the video if you cannot see it right now. So we'll have a small tribute video done by Mr. Chip Tarkenton, and then the next voice you will hear will be Mr. Gregory Pearl.
Hello, my name is Chip Tarkenton. For 23 years, I served as the sports director at TV8. That's where I met George Lancaster. Coach was one of my dear friends, and I miss him so much. I loved that guy more than you'll ever know. In fact, I loved him so much I wanted both of my boys to have the opportunity to meet him, and I made sure that happened. There's something that you need to know about Coach Lancaster. I loved him so much that I'd call him when I was going to broadcast games. But not only that, I saved a lot of the voicemails that he left me because I want to hear his voice. He was such a great human being. I wish I could be there today to wrap my arms around all of you who loved him as much as I did. But just remember, there was only one George Lancaster, and I feel very fortunate that I had the opportunity to meet, know, and to love him.
Good evening. Good evening, family. Good evening. Behold, how good and pleasant it is to dwell together in unity. You know, we're here today to celebrate Coach Lancaster. You know what? Ricky Stokes said they were arguing in the back who was the favorite. Let me start by saying to you guys, my name is Gregory Pearl, Coach Gap to some, Gap to others. But look, a Petersburg Crimson Wave. And I believe I was one of Coach Lancaster's favorites. So while they are in the back, don't even worry about it. We're going to celebrate Coach Lancaster. But I got to give a big shout out right now, y'all. Coach Ben Dyer. Petersburg High School, Crimson Wave, my coach. I love you, Coach. But hey, you know, I got the chance to connect with Coach Lancaster many years ago, competing against Hollis. Again, you know, it's about Coach Lancaster today. Not only he received me, loved me as I was one of his own. Look, y'all, this guy not only mentored others, you know, unselfishly, he lived as we should. So look, as we celebrate him today, I'm challenging us today. See, my challenge is that we take on his spirit. We take on his spirit. I see Darryl Watson here. I see my boy Darryl Watson. The spirit, baby. Look, giving of yourself to others. Look, impacting lives, y'all. Y'all gotta understand. I played against Hollis Springs. We competed. Coach Dyer don't allow us not to compete. Coach William Lawson, look, who was teammates with Coach Lancaster. I didn't even know they were teammates. When we were competing, they ran each other like they were opponents, I guess, competitors. I didn't know. But as Coach Lawson shared with us the love he had for Coach Lancaster, as I began to connect, become touch him directly. There, weekly. Whenever I call, he answered. Whenever he called, I answered. Advisor. Man, I coach kids. And so I called Coach and said, Coach, this is what I'm dealing with. And he took time to share that I'm doing the right thing and keep being unselfish. So again, I get the chance to come and talk about Coach. So I'm honored, y'all. See, I was able to give him, his roses while he was here, y'all. Again, I texted his daughter the other day and said, I'm reading emails and texts from him. Me and him talking back and forth, just smiling. So, not to take up all your day, but it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to talk about a man who lived unselfishly, who impacted lives. I heard that in the memorial service, they talked about him being a legend. He's a legend. You know what? Man, God bless all of us to allow him to be a part of it. And so, what I'm going to continue to do is to model those behaviors that he poured into me. That unselfish living, that uplifting spirit, the God first. Coach Dyer, our coach, he planted in us God first. Coach Lancaster, God first. So as I lead you all today, God first. Thank you.
Our next speakers will be Coach Rudy Ward, Ms. Valerie Walters, and Ms. Gilda Clemens Bates. And he will finish the second quarter with remarks from our school board, our board supervisor, Reverend Tyrone Nelson. And the next person we'll hear will be the illustrious, amazing, legendary athletic director of Hollis Springs High School, my athletic director, Coach Rudy Ward.
Well, he's good at fabricating a few things, that's for sure. Before I say anything about Coach Land, I'd like just to let y'all know there's a magazine called The Richmond. It's an online magazine, and Weldon Bradshaw is here. He wrote an article about George in that magazine that is really nice. It's got quotes from me, but even better, it's got quotes from Harry, it's got quotes from Ricky, it's got quotes from Craven, and a lot of other people. The big thing is that Weldon is here. Weldon, stand up so you can be recognized. That's one heck of an article. Nobody likes better than Weldon, except for maybe the guy sitting next to him, Art. Art Utley has also worked with the Times-Dispatch for a number of years. All right, before I get started about George, I'd just like to mention something about Highland Springs. This place is more than brick and mortar. This is on its third site, but location doesn't make the school. It's the greatest high school there ever was. And it has a history of great people. None better than George Lancaster. The mark of a great person is when they are gone, their aura, their messages live on. That person's life mattered. Coach Lancaster, life mattered. This is not a sad day. This is a celebration of Coach Lancaster because he mattered. George leaving us creates a great void. He has many disciples to carry on his message. He mattered. As a friend, he always made you feel special, remembering your birthday, as Ricky would say, and your zodiac signs. And sometimes, I'm an October guy. He would tell me, I'd go, yeah, I'm afraid you're right on that one. He made you feel special because he remembered those things. He mattered. George treated everyone with respect. If you were having a bad day, give Coach Land a call. Your day would be turned around immediately. He mattered. Some people recognize him as a great basketball coach, which he was. But even much more than basketball being a tool to reach people, Doug Hunt and Bob Raleigh hired George not only for his basketball skills, but as a role model for us all. He mattered. George had a game plan. He made a difference. He made a difference in so many people's lives. His legacy wasn't in championships he won, but how he made people feel better. He mattered. When I was AD, I asked him often about situations and hiring. Sometimes he would simply say, hire him. That's what he said about Franklin Harris. And so Highland Springs having a super girls team traces back to Coach Lancaster. He mattered. The biggest compliment you can say about a person is his life mattered. Coach Lancaster's life definitely mattered. He mattered. And it's been a long time. A lot of people talking. It's a good time to stand up if Coach Land mattered in your life. Please stand. And you can stretch while you're standing. Thank you very much. Coach Land made a difference in my life.
Whereas words cannot fully capture the impact that Coach George Baskerville Lancaster Jr. has had on the lives of so many. And whereas when Coach Lancaster arrived at Highland Springs High School, girls basketball team became his very first team, and together they learned the true meaning of teamwork, discipline, perseverance. And whereas though he began his coaching tenure with a firm hand, Coach Lancaster soon came to understand that he was not coaching not only athletes, but young ladies with bright futures and shaping not only their lives, their skills on the court, but their character off the court. Whereas for over 40 years, Coach Lancaster remained a constant and caring presence in the lives of his players, remembering birthdays, attending special events whenever possible, and always picking up the phone to say hello and check in. And whereas his dedication, kindness, and unwavering support left an indelible mark on all who knew him, teaching lessons that extended far beyond the game of basketball. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the players, friends, and families whose lives were forever changed by Coach George Baskerville Lancaster Jr., honor and celebrate his life. His legacy and his spirit, his memory will live on in our hearts, and lessons he taught us and the love he shared will remain with us always. Remember, walk tall and carry a big stick, all for one and one for all. I was just saying. I have a couple memories on my own. I was, in 1979, I was a senior. He said I was a captain, I don't remember.
But I was not as good as the other girls, but I was tall. So while I was a senior, he made up a trophy. I wasn't the most valuable player. He made up a trophy, because we only could have one, it said most dedicated. So I said, okay, well, I didn't understand. I said, I know I wasn't good as Gilda and Nita made that trophy up for me. I did not know Coach's middle name was Baskerville until recently. I am a Baskerville from South Hill. I told Kara, I said, Kara, he was doing some kind of research, because he called me and he asked me for my mother's basketball pictures and stuff, but my family's Baskerville, so she's going to find out what he was doing to see we cousins. The other thing Coach would do, I have multiple sclerosis, and we would go to pharmaceutical luncheons. And Coach, in the summertime, he would go with me to the luncheons at nice restaurants. And one day he stood up, he had a question about the medication, and he introduced himself. Well, the men in the room knew who he was, and the conversation came about him, not the medication anymore. And when I would go to the meetings, the luncheons, but Valerie, where is Coach Lancaster? I said, well, he does have a job, y'all. He can't come with me every time. So, and that was one of my fondest memories. And the other thing is, everybody knows he called you on your birthday. And he's an Aries. I'm an Aries. So about Aries, we're leaders. So just accept it and move on with it. And one day I got so mad at my dad. I don't remember what my dad did to me. I said, I don't want that man to give me away. When I get married, Coach, you're going to give me away. He said, well, Valerie, we're not going to do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. So those are my fond memories of Coach Lancaster.
Good evening. First, I want to welcome good evening to the Lancaster family, the Spring family, the Virginia State family, the Chase City family, and the Huguenot family, all of which I have some connection to. Like Val, I have a connection to South Hill. I do not know my family there, but my father was born here. I've asked Coach Lancaster as well, help me find out who my family is in South Hill. It happened, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to be brief. I have a quick story that I wanted to share. First, I want to say, Ricky, 1 minute, I am the favorite Capricorn. The story that I wanted to share is a story that perfectly captures the man that we all know and love. And I just want you to picture this scene. We were one of the first people to actually meet Coach Lancaster when he came to the school. And he had called us up for summer ball. We were going to pay on the summer league. And so we're sitting there on the curb, waiting for Coach Land to pull up to open the gym. And we see this black car. I'm not sure what make it was, an antique. Pulls up in this black antique car. He gets out, got his gym bag pulled over his shoulder, and my good teammate, Nita Banks Magruder, she proceeds to yell, "Hey, that's George Jefferson." But from that, well, I'll just go ahead and finish telling the story. Coach Land did not say anything to us. He just proceeded to walk up to the gym doors, open the doors. Then he heard this voice say, "Hey, everybody to the line." We all get on the line, and he says, "Suicides. We're all going to do suicides." We did suicides for maybe 10, 15, 30 minutes. I don't know, it seems like an eternity. And we finished with our suicides. He had us all run around the gym. We ran around the gym for another 10, 15 minutes. back on the line with his suicides again. So finally, I got up the nerve and I said, Coach Lane, are we ever going to touch a basketball? He looked over at me, he said, the next time one of you all decide to call me George Jefferson, you remember this day. And I need you to tell your friends. Some of us didn't get that message. Some of us rode the bench for seeing George. The passion sometimes extended to the referees, especially his dear friend, Archie Harris. I think Archie ejected Coach Land most of our home games this season. Coach Land would always get it in Mr. Archie's face, and one of the things he would say to him, well, one of the things that he said to him was, Archie, I think you got rabbit ears. Of course, that got Coach Land kicked out of the game. He had to go to the locker room. Of course, we had to have our assistant coach continue on with the game. So by that, saying that, we came up with the idea of having Coach Land chew bubblegum while he sat on the bench. We supplied him with bubblegum the whole basketball game. So every time Coach Land got mad, he would take a piece of gum and he would throw it on the wall, which became the gum wall. So I'm going to close and say, Coach Land, he did maintain a personal relationship with most of us for over 44 years. Coach Land was one that inspired me to play golf. Coach Lancaster was Coach Lancaster was more than just a coach. He was a mentor. He saw potential in all of us, and he made us all live up to the fullest of our potential when we were in his company. He was a leader who pushed us to do our best, both on and off the course. I want to thank his family for sharing him with us. He was a wonderful man, and we have many, many, many memories to share that we can share for years with Coach Land, about Coach Land. I want to also leave you with Coach Land's own words. We had a few things that we love to hear Coach Land say, and when you hear this, you'll know what I mean. But one of the things that George Lancaster would always say to us whenever we were with him, if you asked him how he was doing, his famous words were, better than I deserve. And so I'm going to leave everybody today and just with the memories of Coach Land that we shared with him. I want to leave everybody with our gratitude and thanks for allowing us to be a part of the program. We're happy that we were a part of Coach Land's legacy. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to share this evening on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, where our chairperson is Dan Smith, Vice Chair Roscoe Cooper, colleagues Misty Roundtree, Jody Rogish, and myself, Talon Nelson. We are thankful for people like Coach Lancaster. Maybe 10 years ago, I think it was 2016, 2017, different colleagues, we had the opportunity to celebrate Coach Lancaster, I think after the 700 win. And we brought him to the Board of Supervisors, then presented him with a plaque and a resolution and all that good stuff. Since then, I don't think I understood the significance of that moment. Not because I underestimate what 700 wins means, but more importantly, George Lancaster was a good man. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we walk out with. I haven't won one game, so I don't know what that is like. To win 700 plus over several decades is incredible. Sitting in this gym, watching him coach, later watching Coach Tennyson, state championship wins, 2 of them for Coach Land. Coach Tennyson now has one. Incredible to get to that place. And I still don't think that's the most important thing about Coach Lancaster. And one of the first times we had a conversation, I was pretty much fanboying him. Not thinking he knew who I was, but I knew who he was. And we started our conversation, and he did know. And not only did he know, but I noticed because I study people. Eye contact the whole time, locked into your conversation with him. He can make you feel like everybody else is saying you're the only person in the world. And that is a gift. And if we had more George Lancasters in the world right now, this world would be a better place. And I get worried because I look at the changing culture of our community and put a lot of it on our young people, but the truth is, it's us, adults, who are leaving our young people. I look at the young people that our coaches have to coach. It's different. And I don't know what Coach Land would have been doing in 2025 versus what he did in 2015. But I'd rather have a Coach Land coaching my kid than some coach now who is more worried about wins and their own accolades than they are about the life of young people. You look at these basketball players, men and women who play for George Lancaster, all of them acknowledge him in high esteem and have the ultimate level of respect. And I think when it's all said and done, you live your life, that's what I want people to say about me. I hope that's what you want them to say about you, that your life meant something. The wins are important, but the way you live means more. And so, family, I know it is a great sacrifice. Coach Land was a pioneer. The obituary says the first African-American, I don't know the first African-American high school coach in Rickham County for any sport. Maybe it was basketball, I'm not sure. But whatever, he was a pioneer. The first, think about that. Just think about what being the first black person doing something means for you and that struggle. And so we thank God for Coach George Lancaster. We will always honor him here in Highland Springs. Man of integrity, man of courage, man of strength, a winning man on the court and in life. God bless you all.
Thank you, Reverend Nelson. Before we get to our halftime, I need all former players of Coach Lancaster to please stand. Thank y'all for being here. Please Please have a seat. Now, I need all members, Coach Tennessee, you guys stand up against your state standing. All members of any of Coach Lancaster's coaching staffs, please stand. Before we go into our halftime, I got a quick Coach Lancaster story. A lot of my stories will come from the 2007 season, so bear with me. So, in 2007, we won the state championship. And we had a pretty good team. I think we were okay. And we're getting ready to play GW Danville, the state championship game. So we're getting ready for the state championship game. We're in practice. We had a tough game the day before against Freedom. Coach is talking about some things. And he pulls Jay, Brandon, and Jamar to the side. Have a quick conversation. Jay normally was the one that got in the most trouble out of all of us. So Jay normally was the translator of what was going on. And Jay comes and pretty much tells us, like, yo, Coach thinks O is going to have a big game. Now, we had a young man on our team, play center. His name was Omar Briggs. Coach Land called Omar Giraffe. Omar hated that nickname. Hated it. So I think the George Jefferson story, we got one. We just not going to tell it. But shout out to Omar because he's the reason for it. And leading up to that game, Coach talked about it. Man, Omar will have a big night. Omar will have a big night. And Omar that year was such an important part of our team. And Coach Lancaster, even though he would call the Giraffe and yell at him and fuss at him, he knew how important he was. And the reason I tell the story is because everybody in this room, he knew how important you were to him in one way or another. He would pour into people, no matter the situation. If you were having trouble, you could call him, he would pour into you. If you were having a great day, you wanted to get a laugh, he would pour into you. If he was whooping your tail on a golf course, he would pour into you. But the person he was and just the amazing things he did for people. And I believe just telling Omar that whole week you have a big game led to Omar. I think Omar had 20 and 12 in the state championship game. And we ended up winning by 27 and won Coach's second state championship. But it was just those moments from Coach that I live by now when I see our young people in this building. When I see our young people in this building, I talk to them, have conversations with them, ask them how their day is going, try to say good morning to everybody I see. Because those are the things Coach did and the way Coach lived. So, on my tail. Okay, we have halftime. We got a little trivia. Got a little Coach trivia. So, I am going to give the mic now to Miss Kara Lancaster Gay.
So we're going to have a little halftime opportunity for us to just have a little fun. Of course, a couple of people mentioned about how my father, you can call him anything, but don't call him George Jefferson, not at all. And so you had to do suicide, huh? We had punishments as his children. We had punishments before you all even got any punishment. Just understand that. We're going to do a little Kahoot. Everybody has a cell phone? Go on and scan this code and then put in that game pin, because we know that my father, he loved trivia. And so I have my cousin, who is on the Hamlet side, Dr. Donna Pierce Baylor, with me this morning. And then we also have Esquire, Tiffany Blakeney, and Kalisha Pettis on Lancaster side and Hamlet and Lancaster side. And they're just going to sit there and wave their hands. And then we're going to have a little prize for you as well. So go on and join. won't delay too long. Try to join. We got Chuck, we got Dallas 22, we got Lobby, Jamie, Jeanette, Tiffany O. You can use one of the characters or one of the nicknames if you like. Connie, Trey, come on. Join in, join in. This is your opportunity to win. And we know that my father loved the victory, just like he loved trivia. So this is just a little bit of trivia. How do you know Coach Land, or do you really know Coach Land? So we've divided it into 3 different sections. We've got landlines, L-A-N lines, and we know that many of us have shared some of the lines that Coach Land has given. We've also got Land Rover. We know that he drove a Subaru now. He drove a Jeep Cherokee before. He didn't have a Land Rover, but he was a Land Rover. And then we have, I forgot the other one. Landing, coming in for a landing. All right. We got about 26 people. We're gonna, 26 and counting. We're gonna give a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And our lovely hostesses and hosts are coming around giving you a little prize for the game. So I guess you don't even have to play the game for a victory, because you got the victory around your arm now. All right, we are going to start right now. And I want to thank Denzel Palmer, who is like my school son. And so Coach Land was his grandpa. How much do you know about Coach? All right, let's roll. Landlines. Oh, yes, ma'am. Finish the quote. Always be who you are and another person who you aren't, someone else, or a copycat. Which one is it? Who you aren't. Yellow. Let's see. All right, we're going to keep going because we don't want to delay this any further. Let's go to the next one.
Finish the quote. Always be. Okay. One of the things that he used to say a lot, and if you all have been listening or watching the videos, the answers are on videos. But he would say, better than, yes, better than I deserve. Also, all right, Uncle George loved gospel music. One of the things that he loved most was listening to favorite gospel tune. Can anyone name that tune? It came, well, it would start with somebody is in trouble.
So the chant that the team would use, somebody's in trouble, somebody's in trouble, trouble. Somebody gotta play Island Springs. What gospel song was that from? A, Blessed Assurance. B, Wade in the Water. C, Let the Church Say Amen. Or D, Amazing Grace. Wade in the Water. Woo! If you have Wade in the Water, wave your hand. All right.
All right. Uncle George, he ate out a lot. When I would talk to him, he would be, oh, I'm here, I'm here, I'm there. But he had a favorite place that he would eat. Fast food. Does anyone know? It was...
All right, was it Wendy's? Was it Panera? Was it McDonald's? Or was it Hardee's? Chase City. Amen. All right.
All right, in Chase City, I'm not sure how many people have ever been to Chase City. Can I see a show of hands of how many people have ever been to Chase City? How many people know where Chase City is? So those of you who know Chase City is very small. So you come in, you ride in one way, 5 minutes later you ride out, and so that's Chase City. So Uncle George grew up in Chase City, but does anyone know the address of his childhood home? I know when we were younger, he would also bring some of his players to his mother's house. And so, does anyone know his childhood home's address? Was it 517? Was it 8801? Was it 750? Or was it 414? Anyone know? 414. That was the address. 414. All right. Uncle George and Aunt Kathy had a ball. If you all listened to her speech, she told us the dog's name. Does anyone remember the childhood pet's name? It was Pookie Poo, like Pookie Poo. Okay. Does anybody know what breed of dog they share? Aunt Kathy and Uncle George? It was. What about a German Shepherd mix? What about a terrier, a beagle, or a cocker spaniel? No, it was a beagle mix.
Yes, it was a beagle mix, just like Coco, his last dog. And everybody remembers Coco. Mix. We thank you for this little time out, this little halftime, this little break. We hope that you were able to get some stretching in. And thank you for the love that you poured into my father and the love that he poured into you. You know we feel.
Okay, so to our third quarter. We have a few more speakers, and then we're going to finish up the fourth quarter with Reverend Dr. Ronald Thornhill. So, given reflections from Howard Spring High School will be our principal, Dr. Kenneth White. Reflections from the school board will come from the Honorable Alicia Atkins and the Honorable Ryan Young. We will also have Mr. Andre Ingram come to the podium, as well as Coach Tennyson, State Championship head coach, Coach Reginald Tennyson, and cousin Paul Lancaster Adams. But the next voice you will hear will be from my principal, our principal here at Howard Spring High School, Dr. Kenneth White.
Good afternoon. Come on, family. Customary here at Howard Springs, we usually get some more of the engine back. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. There we go. We're gathered here today to honor the life and legacy of Coach George Lancaster, a teacher, a mentor, coach, and legend whose impact stretched far beyond the hardwood. On behalf of the students, faculty, and staff here at Howard Springs High School, I'm both humbled and grateful to be with you today. For over 37 years, Coach Lancaster poured his heart into young people, and specifically, even though we do have some RPS folks and some other people here in the room, here in Spring Nation. I'm going to say it again, here in Spring Nation. So let's also do this, family. Once a Springer, there we go. So we got to make sure these RPS folks understand that when they come to us out there. With that being said, he won more than 700 games, earned 2 state championships, and was rightfully inducted to the Holland Springs Hall of Fame, the Virginia High School Hall of Fame, and the Virginia State University Hall of Fame. But his greatest victories weren't measured in trophies. They were measured in the lives of the changed. As legendary coach John Wooden once said, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. Coach Lancaster changed hundreds, not maybe even thousands of lives. He taught his players to be disciplined, to be resilient, and to be accountable. He taught his students to believe in themselves, even when the world didn't. Coach Lancaster lived out the words of Philippians 2:4. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. He was always looking out for someone, whether it was a struggling student, a young teacher, or a player who needed a second chance. He sharpened minds and spirits, just as Proverbs 27:17 reminds us, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Coach Lancaster made us better on the court, in the classroom, and in life. I can remember my first time meeting Coach Lancaster. And I'm not from the Richmond area. I'm a country boy from Surrey County, Virginia, born and raised. I met him at the Hall of Fame dinner. And when I met Coach Lancaster, in just a few quick moments, just like Reverend Nelson, a fanboy, because I knew who Coach Lancaster was before I even met him. And when I met him, he greeted me, he welcomed me to the Springer Nation community, he wished me well, and he told me if I ever needed anything, he was always there for me. The one thing about me, I'm a historian by trade. So I'd already done my history on Holland Springs anyway, understanding the importance of this community. That's why I work as hard as I do as a principal of Holland Springs High School, because I know the value in this community. Coach Lancaster represented that. And even though I didn't play for him, I wasn't one of his coaches, he embraced me, and he made me feel welcome when I was very young, coming to Holland Springs High School. And for that, I'm forever grateful for Coach Lancaster. To the Lancaster family, please know that your grief is shared by all the Springer Nation and the many people who adore Coach Lancaster, which is evident based on the folks who are assembled here today. We mourn with you, we honor with you, and we give thanks for the gift of Coach Lancaster's life. We thank you for sharing Coach Lancaster with so many of us. You shared a man who gave so much to so many. I pray that each of you are surrounded with peace, comfort, and the strength in the days ahead. May you truly feel the presence of our Heavenly Father as a light in your path and hope in your hearts, for He truly is a burden bearer and a heavy load sharer. I pray that the memories of Coach Lancaster's love, leadership, and laughter will be a source of healing and joy for the days moving forward. In closing, thank you to everyone who came to 200 South Airport Drive here at Holland Springs High School today to celebrate Coach Lancaster's life. Your presence is a testament to the love and respect he earned over a lifetime of service. May we continue to honor him, not just in words, but in the way we live, lead, and lift others. And again, on behalf of Holland Springs High School, we thank you all.
Check one. There we go. Blossoming endurance were the two words that nestled with me on the way here. And standing at the podium, reflecting on being a student of Highland Springs High School, and now being the first Black woman to govern it, is a moment. I think about quite a bit the journey to this microphone, and had a couple stories that I was pondering if I would share, but listening to all of the other vulnerable moments, I will. One time as a student, let me back up. As a student, I always wanted to be a part of a sports team. Cheerleading, basketball. And Coach Land was in the building. At the time, Michelle McQueen Williams was my English teacher. She was also the cheerleading coach. And I went to Coach Land and I said, gotta make at least one team. I'm gonna try for cheerleading. He said, you are highly intelligent. You don't have straight A's to be doing cartwheels. And I said, yes, I do. And he just gave me a look, left me right in the hallway, and kept on walking. I tried out for the team. I had the brilliant idea to try to do a somersault, keep in mind I couldn't even do a cartwheel. I did not make the team. I did not make any athletic team. And I would constantly go to him and say, I'm gonna try out for something else. And he would give me his raw feedback. And he said, stop trying to be like everyone else. He would say the quote that you just saw on the screen often to me. He said, you are different. When we were working on building this gymnasium floor, I had another conversation with him. And I said, did you see something in me then? And he said, yeah, I did. I saw that you weren't going to be able to make a sports team. And I said, did you know? Really, did you know? He said, you are different. I want you to show our people something different. I want you to be you. And so, the many moments that I had with him, they were never ever about sport. They were always encouraging. He said, show girls what to be, how to be. He said, you always dressed up at the games while everybody else had on tennis shoes. He said, do you know why that is now? And I said, I do. Because I still do that. And Coach Land and all the basketball teams, many other types of teams that would run to him. I was never on one, but I was one of them too. It's something special about someone that sees something in you that you don't see in yourself. So those two words that I came up with and shared, blossoming endurance, for me it means a gigantic individual with an enormous spirit that has the ability to see potential in someone else, then stand back, let it blossom while you endure. Because he endured many things that we may not ever know, and did it anyway. So to the family, may God continue to bless you as Coach Land has blessed me and so many others. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atkins. Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Young. I'm the Fairfield District School Board Representative. I am also an Henrico High School graduate, and I'm also an Henrico High School basketball coach. And only George Lancaster can have officials and people from Henrico High School come up and say nice things about it. For those that don't know, when it comes to basketball, I think Henrico is one of those rivals when it comes to Highland Springs. And when I was elected in 2023, I was a basketball coach. And I got elected, and 6 months later, the head coaching job opened at Henrico High School. And I was stuck, because as a school board member, I could not head coach a single basketball team in the county. Some said it was a conflict of interest. I disagree, but here I am, not coaching, but being a school board rep. And a few months ago, I had the privilege of my head coach having his first child. He gave me a call. He said, Ryan, I need you to come coach. I need you to head coach the game, Henrico versus Highland Springs. The game was right here in Highland Springs. And somebody said, I remember that one. And I coached against Coach Tennyson, but I was so hyped to come over here just like anybody else because of the legacy George Lancaster left. He was the reason we were excited to come over here and play Highland Springs. He was the reason that everybody wanted to beat Highland Springs. He was the reason. And I came over here and y'all, I was up the first quarter. I was up the second quarter. I was up the third quarter. And just like that obituary say, fourth quarter was victory, but it was not for Henrico, it was for Highland Springs. And I say that because George Lancaster's legacy will continue to live on through people like Coach Tennyson. It's his coaching tree that is so important in keeping his legacy alive, and that's exactly what we see happen. I never got the privilege to play and coach against George Lancaster, but I think it's a huge honor to be up here today to speak in celebration of him. I think that's a bigger honor than even coaching against him. So on behalf of the school board, we have a letter, and I'm going to read this to the family and to his friends and to his loved ones that's here today. Coach Lancaster's profound impact extended far beyond high school basketball. For more than 4 decades, he shaped generations of Henrico County Public School students with his example of discipline, perseverance, and kindness. While his record of 726 victories and multiple state championships testifies to his excellence as a coach, his true legacy rests in the countless lives he touched as a mentor, leader, and role model. At Highland Springs High School, Coach Lancaster was a pillar of the community, yet his influence was not limited to one school or one team. His dedication to young people and his unwavering commitment to excellence enriched the entire Henrico County schools community and beyond. We are deeply grateful for the many years of service and the enduring lessons he imparted to the students, family, colleagues, fortunate enough to know him. His legacy of excellence will live on in the gems that bear his name, in the successes of the athletes he coached, and in the values carried forward by those who were inspired by his life. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family during this time, and may you find comfort in knowing the immeasurable difference Coach Lancaster made and the lasting mark he leaves on all of us in Henrico County Public Schools. On behalf of the Henrico County School Board, thank you.
It's an honor for me to be here today and speak on my coach. I say my coach, and I say that selfishly and incorrectly because I know he wasn't just mine, he was everyone's coach. I can't tell you how many people reached out to me once they heard about Coach Land, but many of them were not athletes. They were students, they were springers, they were Blue Devils, they were Warriors. Some of them never even had a coach or actually teaching class with Coach Land. He wasn't their gym teacher, didn't go to this school, but he touched everyone who entered the doors of this school. Speaking of entering the doors, we cannot celebrate Coach Land on his court without me asking for everyone who has a hat on right now and everyone that has a hood on right now to take it off right now. That was one of Coach Land and Coach Evans' biggest rules. When you walk through those doors, please take your hat off. It's a respect thing. Coach was big on respect. He was big on honor, but the word that keeps coming to mind for me is that he was just a force. He had an aura about him, a strong presence that just commanded the attention of every room he was in. I first met Coach Lancaster when my older brother Lucius Ingram played for him. I used to come to all the games and I would watch my brother and his best friend, our god brother, Boom, or Coach Boom as you guys probably know him. I would come to the games, I would watch them play. As much as I enjoyed watching the game, I had just as much fun just watching Coach Land carry on. I wasn't the only one in that. My all-time teammate and my best friend, Jamar Fleming, I see him over there as well. He admired Coach Land just like I did. Jamar and I went to the same schools, we were the same grade, same age, same class. and we just couldn't wait to get to high school so we could play for Coach Land and just join all the incredible players that came before us. DeMar and I would talk all the time when our teams did have success. We would look at each other and say, man, you just remember all of the greats that Coach Land has coached, and we get to be a part of that. Coach Land coached a lot of great players, but as so many people mentioned, it's what he did to those players in making them great men. He made all the great players he had into great men. Many of you who are here today. To be included in that group was all that me and Jamal wanted to be a part of. We didn't want to lead that group, we just wanted to be a part of all those players with Coach Land. So when I see or I hear about comparisons of the state championship teams or these top 5 lists of players at different high schools of all time, I just cringe. And I imagine it was the same for Coach Land, especially when it came to his players and his teams. This is not the time. In fact, I don't ever think it's the time to be comparing and pitting each other against one another. I think it's always the time to give flowers, give love, give respect and honor to everyone who played for Coach Land. Just this past weekend, my family and I were eating at a restaurant here in Sandston, and Brandon Roselle walked in. And when we saw each other, you should have seen the smiles on our faces. So y'all know how it goes when you see somebody you're excited to see them. We dapped each other up like 10 times, we hugged each other like 5 times, said bye to each other like 8 times. I went on to tell my family all that he and his teams did here at Holland Springs, all that he did at VCU, taking them to their only Final Four, coaching there now. All in love and just being proud. You can clap that for sure. But all in love and just being, proud of all of everything he's accomplished and still accomplishing now. When I think back to that moment, I imagine Coach saw it all and looked down and said, right on, fellas. Let that be the interaction of all of Coach Land's players when asked to compare and who's better and all these things that don't matter. Again, give love, give respect, give honor. It is never a wrong time to do those things. The best piece of advice that Coach ever gave to me was during my junior year. The Richmond Times-Dispatch was about to do a player spotlight on me. Coach Land came to me, he said, they're gonna ask you, who do you admire most? Whenever anyone asks you that, always say your parents. I understand now, being a parent of athletes, why he told me to say that. My mother and father, in fact, all of our parents, our guardians, people who take care of us, they give everything to make sure we can do what we do. That was certainly the case for me. My mother went home to be with the Lord last January. It was a tough time. It still is a tough time. Coach Land was at that celebration. They remind me so much of each other. My mother had a way of making everyone she interacted with feel like she was your best friend. You remember everyone's birthdays and make sure to reach out to them just as Coach did and continue to do with so many of his former players up until his last days. I want to end by saying to Coach's children, his grandchildren, to Ms. Linda, all of Coach's family, as much as he loved all of us, he loved you all most. There are stories of Coach Land all around this gym that if you need any of us, please just ask. Those stories, I hope for you, do like they do for me when I hear stories about my mom that I never heard. In fact, just yesterday, a longtime friend of mine and the true favorite of Coach Land, Smitty over here, he gave me a story yesterday of my mom that I had no clue of. So for Coach Land's family, when you guys hear stories from people that you never knew, of your father, of your grandfather, of your life partner, I hope it does for you what it does for me. I hope it makes you smile. I hope it makes you laugh. I hope it makes you remember. Most importantly, I hope it makes you keep going. For everyone here, may all of our lives be lived like Coach Land, a life of service, so that when it's our time for our celebrations, the rooms will be filled like this, just as it is for our coach. God bless you all, and thank you all.
Before Coach Tennyson comes up to speak, I need Sherry Meta to come up to the podium. Miss Meta is the daughter of Miss Linda. And everybody knows who Miss Linda is. Miss Linda was Coach Lancaster's partner, best friend, road dog. Wherever Coach went, you saw Miss Linda. And Miss Linda, please know we lost a coach, we lost a father, you lost a partner, you lost your best friend. And we want you to know that we love you and that your Springer family will always be here for you. We still expect you to come to games. I still expect you to make me go get you bottles of water. But I want to say that we love you and we appreciate you being there with Coach every step of the way.
Good afternoon. Before I read the reflection, I just wanted to share a quick little story. As many of you know, I also went to Highland Springs, class of '92. My father and Coach Lancaster went to Virginia State University together. And I didn't know that until I came to Highland Springs. And he said, "Are you Doc Arnold's daughter?" I said, "Yes, yes." And then anytime I would see him, he would yell out, "Doc Arnold's daughter." I ended up getting to, I didn't play basketball, but I ended up getting to be one of the scorekeepers one year, and that was really a special time for me. So to have someone who had been a friend and classmate of my father's to become like a father to me years later was very, very special. And we had many wonderful times together, and I'd like to read on behalf of my mother. For more than 26 years, ours was a love story that blended families, laughter, and memories into something truly extraordinary. We traveled together, trips to Ocean City to visit my grandsons, your bonus grandsons, adventures to the Outer Banks, Asheville, Lake Lure, Las Vegas, and Skyline Drive. You made sure I could see the people I loved most. My sister, my daughter, my nephews, my grandsons, always driving me there with such quiet devotion. You were a basketball coaching legend, and after retirement, I was at every game, proud to become a true basketball mom. Weston High School claimed me as one of their own, and through you, I became an honorary alum. We spent time in Chase City, waving from your porch as friends passed by, sharing the kind of simple, steady joy that made ordinary moments sacred. You were the best husband I never married, and together we created a life filled with love, family, travel, and joy. Our favorite phrase was always, "Memories are better than dreams." And now those memories are my greatest treasure. Your last words to me were, "Thank you, Linda." But it is I who will spend the rest of my life thanking you for your love, for your partnership, and for a lifetime of memories that will carry me always. I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with you, and then I realized you spent the rest of your life with me. I smiled because I know you loved me till the day you went away, and will keep loving me till the day we're together again. Thank you.
So the next individual that will come to He is my basketball coach here, state championship winning basketball coach here at Alice Springs High School. And I would get in trouble with Coach Tennyson and Coach Lancaster because I would schedule events that I need all my coaches to be at. And it just always would be when they were going on vacation together. And Coach Land would always make Coach Tennyson come back from vacation to be in the event I had. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome our basketball coach here at Alice Springs, state championship winning basketball coach here at Alice Springs, Coach Reginald Tennyson.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to try to be long. I've been sitting here a long time. I'm too old to be sitting this long. But I don't mind sitting for what I consider to be my surrogate father since 2007 when I lost my father. But before I get started, I want to tell a story. I want to take you guys on a journey because we've had a lot of eloquent speakers today that have said some beautiful things about Coach Lancaster, and all of them definitely deserve it. But I know another side. I'm going to tell some stories today because this is the last time I'll ever be able to tell them publicly, and I think you will enjoy it. First thing I want to say is this. Ricky stole everything that I was going to say. We set it back here for an hour and a half with him taking notes. And he knew he was going first. So, anything? He knew he was going before me. So, he just regurgitated everything that we talked about. One of the persons that I love, I got it, Coach Thornhill, part of our Huguenot legacy, because I also, I'm going to tell the story, asked me to admonish this guy. He don't even know him. Coach Rudy Ward, who I love to death, was part of the reason that I came here. That Ricky was in that article that Mr. Bradshaw printed. Ricky wasn't in that article. He didn't quote. As you can tell, Ricky and I are very good friends. We are, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's the story. As an 8th grader, I met Coach Lancaster at Thompson Middle School. He came over to speak to our 8th grade basketball team where I was playing. And he had an opportunity to watch us play. For us to have him come in the gym was like seeing Jordan come in the gym. He was that big of a mystique at that time as an 8th grader. So when I finally went to Huguenot, as a 9th grader, I played on the JV team, my 9th grade year, my JV year, and he finally moved me up at the end of my JV year for about 3 games. 3 games. And one of the guys that I played behind was Ricky Stokes. And he was a junior, and I was a sophomore. But I wanted to take you on this journey because I want you all, before I start, let me say this. I would be remiss. People keep introducing me as state championship Coach Tennyson, but Coach always told us, his staff, which was myself, and Coach Williams, Coach Edmonds, Coach Gaskin, Coach King, Coach Penn, he don't do this alone, and neither do I. I'd like to introduce my staff, who's got me proud today to see them dressed all right. If y'all would please stand up, come down if you want. You're sitting up there and stand. I'm going to call it that name. Please stay standing. And the reason I want to introduce these young men to you, in front is Reggie Dennis, behind him is A.J. Gaskin Jr., Marquise Tinsley, and Jamal Fleming. The reason I introduce these men to you is because they are Coach Lancaster's legacy. We all and they all played for him here at Highland Springs. But this is where his neck extends. Thank you, bro. I hope to see you next week. So, to continue the journey, I think Coach Land had a premonition about Highland Springs. Because as Ricky started the story, and he don't remember nothing. In 1978, Coach scheduled Highland Springs High School. I don't know if Coach Ward remember this, but we came to Highland Springs. I didn't know anything about Highland Springs. I had a cousin that went here. We came here and played Highland Springs and lost. Down here in the old school in the gym. Coach was furious. I'll try to repeat some of the things that he said. We got on the bus, we went back to Huguenot, and he threw all of us out the locker. Threw us all out, like he does. And they know. So the irony to this is, Highland Springs came back to Huguenot, we beat the second time. But the irony is, that very next year, in the complex form, he came here. And just like Ricky, he came to me, he said, Reggie, I'm going to Highland Springs. I want you to come. I need to talk to your parents. He came by my house, talked to my mom and dad, told them what he wanted to do. They asked me what I wanted to do. I looked at them like they was crazy. I said, what you think? I'm going with my coach. Whether y'all go or not, I'm going. And that's what happened. The rest is history. And I love this man. He meant so much to not just me. And I like to think I was his favorite. We battled about it. But Coach coached over 800 players, 46 years, an average of 15 players a year on this roster. How can one person be the favorite? We were just comparing voicemails in the back, myself and Coach Thornhill. A coach leaving messages for us. He always used a message, leaves the same message. We listen to the message. Here we are, chest stuck out. Yeah, I'm the one. And the message is the same. The message is the same. Am I lying, good? Message is the same. We sit here, listen to the message. And at the end of each message, this is what he would say. You don't have to call me back. You don't need to call me back. It's all right, don't call me back. I love you. And he knew as soon as we got the message, we would call him back. How do you not call the message back? So getting here, I wanted to say this about first. Valerie said earlier that the girls' basketball team was his first team here. And they was his first team. But his very first boys' basketball team in 1979 was myself, Stokes, and I'd like to know if there's any other players in here from that first team. Chris Ernie is here. There you go, stand up, Chris. You know, for those of us that have had or birthed children, the first is always special. So I won't ever say I was the favorite no more. I'll just say we were very special. It's the first, and then there's the last team that he coached here. Any of those players here from 2015-16 season, any of them here. And then there's everybody else that Coach Daniel called on earlier, that we all played for Coach. Coach was larger than life. We looked at him as a father figure. I called him, and a lot of us called him a legend every day, and he hated that term. He used to say, Coach, stop calling me a legend. He said, because when you call me a legend, that just means that I'm an old man. And I don't like being considered an old man. So I used to play this game with him whenever we go on vacation. Myself, my wife, his lovely, significant other, Miss Linda. We go out to dinner somewhere, we be sitting, well, especially here in Richmond. And I said, Coach, let me prove to you why you're a legend. We're just picking an anonymous person in the restaurant. Might not look like they're athletically inclined. And he will walk up and say, hey, you know anything about Highland Springs High School? Oh, yeah, I know that school. What do you know about it? They got a good football team. Real good football team. I'm sitting there, I always get offended when they say that. Because they never say they got a good football and basketball team. But this is what they say. Yeah, they used to have a good football team, but this is what they said. They had a guy there, and he's standing right there beside. Had a guy in there named, can't think his name. So I would preempt and say, Lancaster. Oh yeah, that's him, Lancaster. I know him. And coach be standing right there. I said, oh, okay. You ever seen him? Yeah, I've seen him, man, coach. I said, what did he coach? I think he was a basketball coach. He's still a coach. I've been a coach 8 years, 9 years. And these people be standing like this. Ain't he coach doing that? And I'm standing there, chest stuck out, like, they get ready to say, yeah, we know you. And he's still a coach. They say, yeah, that's how white the legend. They still know. A couple of stories I won't tell y'all. I'm not going to keep y'all long. I just had to get it off my chest. Everybody think Coach was such a sweetheart, he was. But when you played for Coach, he demanded your undivided attention and your excellence. We were in a game my junior year. Myself, this was Ricky Sr. We were up at Woodbridge High School. Game going well. We about to win the game. We thought going along real well. Coach calls time out. Myself in the game, Ricky, and my brother, God rest in peace, Frank Tennyson. He go up, I'm out on the bench, and brought us and sit us down on the side. I don't know if we were up one, game time, but he said, we're going to win. He said, here's what I want. I don't want no shots. I don't want you to shoot the ball. I want you to hold the ball. At this thing go to overtime, we'll take the last shot. But he added a caveat that you cannot tell a guy like me that's a shooter. And I was having a pretty good game. He looked dead in my eye as he was giving us that assignment. He said, I don't want you to take no shots. He said, but, he threw the butt in there. If you wide open and the ball is in your hands, and you got a real good look at it, and you feel good about it, you take that shot. And he's looking at me. You gotta envision it. He's looking at me. My coach, confident. I get on the floor, Ricky get the ball, pass it to my brother, brother pass it back to Ricky. We run 2 guards. That was his offense. We go down, run 2 guards. I go to the corner, Rick swing the ball, give it to me. I took my time, pretty jump shot, I thought, went up, shot it, and missed. And the bench was there, the shot came from there. I ran back down the sideline that way and looked over there, and you'd have thought somebody threw a bomb in the school. He running, God, I do not to shoot them, but why you shoot? Can't say all the things he said. But people say, why you love this man so much? Because he taught me how to be a man, that's why. So he took us in the locker room after the game. True story, Ricky was there. My brother and I sitting on the bench. He giving us his post-game speech. I had a green leather jacket, my brother had a brown match. He thought we was cute. So we sitting down on the bench, and Coach ranting and raving, and then he fixated on me and my brother. Now during the game, I didn't tell you, when I missed that shot, Ricky came back there, pretty boy, bounced the ball off his foot.
My brother tried to go behind his back, threw it out of bounds. He laid my brother out. He said nothing. 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 So, we in the locker room, he ripped me and my brother like he never did before. He said, didn't I tell you not to shoot the ball? Didn't I tell you? I told you to hold the ball, and you drew the ball off your foot. Look at you with them brown, green leather coats on. Hurt this broke, hurt my feel. I'm sitting there. So, me, my brother, and Ricky, 2 rows down. I'm looking at Ricky. I'm saying, okay, he next. He gonna get him next. Look, I'm looking. Coach standing there, still ripping us. When he gonna say something to him? Not a word. Now, he smiled. Not a word. I thought he was done. We get on the bus, coming home, hour and a half ride, hood on. Look, you still sitting. Take them hoods off your head. I said, is he gonna ever let this go? My man. The last thing I gotta tell, somebody wanted me to tell us today. Is Mike Rosell here? I know I heard Brandon name. His dad. Anyway, I'm gonna tell the story. Lawrence wanted me to tell this story, Brandon. This wasn't my story, this was Lawrence Waller's story. It was their senior year. In our old school, this is a funny story. This is the kind of guy Coach was. In our old school, there was, in our locker room, and Coach Williams on them, there's a petition at the door. When you walk in the locker room, there's a solid petition that you can't see the rest of the locker room. And the door would always slam right behind. So it was after one of their games, they played Jefferson United with and lost. Coach was pissed. Pissed. He come in the locker room like he do. Tell you why he pissed. So, after he said that, there was a dance in the cafeteria that night that all the guys were going to. They were planning to go. So Coach left, after he got on, he left out the locker room, but he didn't. He let the door slam and Hood stood down behind the petition and listened to the conversation. So Brandon, decorated Brandon, VCU, Daddy says to his teammate, hey man, y'all want to dance tonight in the cafeteria? All of Lawrence, Brian Washington, all of them said, yeah, I'm going. Coach came from behind the petition. Can't tell y'all what he said, but just imagine how eloquent of a speaker he was. If I see you or hear about you at that dance, I'm gonna run that you know what out of your practice tomorrow. Mess with me if you want to. In better choice of words. So then he walked out the locker room. They thought it was gone. Mike said again, y'all going? And do you know, they went. So they went to the, this is the funny part. They went to the cafeteria and was at the dance with their little girlfriends, getting their boogie on. And who's standing at the window? People. And he was standing at the window and started pointing. I said, Lord, what happened, man? What happened in practice next day? He said, man, I still haven't gained the weight back that I lost from 40 years ago. Hey, man, I'm sorry, Coach. I know I'm only supposed to be up there a little while, but after sitting there so long, I forgot what the time restraint was. But I'll leave you guys with a couple of things that Coach used to say. Timing is everything in life. It is. It's everything in life. This is what he used to say to me. Teddy, I want you to understand timing is everything. He said it was meant for us to be here at Alice Springs. It was our time to be here at Alice Springs. And how profound of a statement that is. Here I am, getting ready to turn 63 years old. I'm the head head basketball coach at my alma mater, a school that I love, a school that I met my wife in, and to this day, we're still together. Can you stand up, baby? Come on, let's get some. This is a result of Coach Lancaster, because I made a decision to follow him, and the Lord blessed me with her. One of his favorite sayings, and I am going to sit down with this one. Work like you, not getting paid. Love like you've never been hurt. And dance like ain't nobody watching. God bless. Family. Rest in peace, my brother. I love you and I miss you. This is what they call, I'm going to say this is a drop the mic moment. Lil man out.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cousin Catherine, Earl, my cousins, thank you for me having this opportunity to share my thoughts. My dad called him Baby George. You probably heard that earlier today. Baby George. Well, he was simply my father's Uncle George's son. And that's why he was Baby George. Along with the fact that my father met Baby George when he was born, and my dad was a bustling 5 years old himself. Cousin George and I called each other Big Man. Big Man. I've heard all these jokes about after the Jeffersons, but Big Man is what we call each other. And it was a little joke between the two of us, because if we both stretched on our tippy toes, we would barely reach about 6 feet tall. And we both played basketball, stretching on our tippy toes, trying to get as tall as we could get amongst giants playing the game. I'm not sure if Cousin George knew how much of a giant he really was in my eyes. A giant not in stature, but an influence to me and countless others. I'll tell you a little story. As a youngster, Cousin George would come pick me up every day and take me to camp. As you can imagine, the excitement of me being picked up, and I think it was that van that was spoken about earlier. He would come pick me up, and I'd jump in the van, and we would go to camp, and I was escaping my parents, I was escaping my household, and it was just exciting to be around all day, basketball all day long. Later, around the age of 13, I stayed with Cousin George and his family for a brief time during the summer. I knew I would be living the easy life, the easy street, including accompanying him, hanging out with the varsity basketball players from Highland Springs High School. So I'm having a ball. So he picks me up, coming over to his home. It's the summer. We're staying there about a week. Day one comes. I wake up in the morning. I look around, I think I hear a car starting. And I said, nah. Can't be a car starting. So I roll back over, go back to sleep for about an hour. I get out of bed, go into the kitchen, and Cousin George, Coach Lamb, is gone. I mean, he's like completely gone, ruining all my plans of hanging out with Highland Springers varsity basketball team, right? Instead of having this amazing day with my cousin, the coach, you know what I was doing? I was scrubbing floors. I was scrubbing floors, and any chores that came up that he thought about while he was gone, I was doing. So day 2 comes around, and I said, okay, this is not going to happen to me again. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to wake up early, make sure I'm up when Cousin George wakes up, so I can go hang out with him and the varsity team, basketball team here at Highland Springs. So I wake up, I'm fully dressed, I'm in my room, waiting for the door to be knocked. I say, come on, Paul, let's go. It never happens. It never happens. About an hour later, still dressed, still waiting for him, I decided to get out of there and go to the kitchen. When I go to the kitchen, and I hear this car start, I was like, oh, snap! He's about to leave. So as I run out, as you can imagine, this kid, 13 years old, I'm running out of the house. And he's looking at me going, bye-bye, bye-bye. And he's in reverse. So it's like, you can see him kind of going, bye-bye. And it's like, okay, this is day 2. I'm not getting a chance to go hang out with Coach Land and the varsity high school basketball coach at Highland Springs, or team at Highland Springs. The rest of the week was similar. Because when he left that second day, I was actually washing cars and waxing cars. And the following day, it was some other chore. I think my point is, which was his point, it was a lesson in responsibility for me. It was a lesson in accountability for me. And no matter what my plans were, or what I thought was going to be in my experience with Coach Land, my cousin, it was not what I thought it would be, it was what he wanted it to be for me at the time. A father once said to his son, what I have not taught to you, learn from another man. What I have not taught you, learn from the other man. Cousin George was teaching when he didn't even know it. Always teaching when he didn't even know it. Some comments from him I have applied to life that I want to share with you. First one, never show them what you got. Never show them what you got. For those of you who have been opponents of Cousin George, or the coach in basketball, you know he always had a strategic coaching move. Someone talked about the fourth quarter earlier. That surprise came. It wasn't expected. It wasn't even in the cards of preparation. Coach Land, my cousin, always had something in his hip pocket that he would spring on you unexpectedly. Always. I applied this same advice to my profession as a trial attorney, believe it or not, my entire career. Always strategically seeking angles or an advantage against an opponent. In the moment where they weren't looking, I would come out with something that was just a simple surprise or a drastic surprise. They never saw it coming. I got that from Coach Lamb. I got that from my cousin George. Know people. Know people. I would have discussions with my cousin George about people. All of you have. But he was a master at knowing people. He respected everyone. He took great lengths to know individuals and where they were coming from. And he always met them on their terms. Their terms. He understood the power of relationships and relatability. And if you can't relate to individuals, you can't advise them, you can't persuade them, and you can't lead them. The last comment I want to share with you. You're going to make mistakes. What you learn from them actually defines you. He has said that to me on at least 3 or 4 occasions now. I want to repeat it. You're all going to make mistakes. What you learn from them will define you. Cousin George would be the first to tell you that he was not a perfect person. I think you've heard that he's not a perfect person today, but he's perfect to us, right? But he would say to you, I'm not a perfect person. But he strived to learn from his life experiences, the good ones and the bad ones, and be the better from them. I try to live my life that same way, and I hope that you all do as well. It's very much part of Cousin George's legacy. Lessons from the younger man, lessons from my big man, lessons from my dear cousin. Thank you.
We are getting to our conclusion of the program. The Highland Springs Chorus will sing a selection, and then the last voice you will hear today will be Dr. Ronald Thornhill, as he will be with.
I want to say thank you to the family for indulging us to be able to speak. And I want to say a special thanks to many of you that have come. And you have sat here for 2.5 to 3 hours. And that was supposed to be a joke. And you have not only allowed us to tell so many stories, and I won't fall into the trap of telling you any additional stories about how I mentored Coach Tennyson and Coach Stokes, and how I'm really the favorite of all of them. So what we will do, we will offer you the benediction. And thank you again. I'm very appreciative of all of the family and how you've allowed me to close. One of the things about the Atlanta Braves, who were known as champions during the 80s, they were known for having great closers. One in particular was John Smoltz. And so I'm a closer for just 1 inning. Give me 1 minute and we're going to close this and send you home. Bow your heads with us. Eternal God, our Father, as we come now to close this celebration out, we're ever so grateful for the life, the legacy, and the lessons that we have learned from Coach George Lancaster. And God, while many stories have been told, there's still yet stories to be told. We think that he was not only a man, but he was a myth as well as somebody that we understood as a legend. A man of integrity, a man of humility, a man of honesty. But the myth that we found out about him is that we were living amongst the legend, and we really didn't know until now. But we understand the legendary status that he was a giant among so many of us. We're ever so grateful that he has touched our lives. And now unto you, Lord, that is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before the presence of your glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise God our Savior, be glory, majesty, dominion, and power, both now, henceforth, and forever. And shall we all say together, amen? Amen. Amen again. God bless you and heaven smile upon you.